with just 5 points separating first and sixth, and 11 points separating seventh and relegation. The battle for positions at the top and bottom of the table appears to be more intense than ever. Who does the data and analysis suggest will win those coveted positions then? Based on the season's first half's analytical trends, it might not be shocking that Bayern Munich is the team that will likely win the championship at the end of the current season. Eric Maxim Choupo-Moting appears to be the most suitable Robert Lewandowski replacement in Bavaria at the moment. The structure and rhythm of Bayern are now established. Ever since losing a 2-0 lead to rival Borussia Dortmund in early October to end in a 2-2 draw. Following Choupo-Moting's inclusion in the starting 11, they have won 6 of their last 6 games while scoring 24 goals. Because of this modification, it is simpler for Bayern's players to play near a number 9 as opposed to getting caught in their adversary's final line of defense. Since Choupo-Moting's debut as a starter, to show that Bayern's shot conversion rate has increased from 13% to 20% of goals scored. Other than the fact that they dominate nearly every statistic available, goals, shots on target, big chances created, they appear to be the champions-elect. Additionally, there are defensive metrics like high interceptions and ball recoveries, which are typically a good sign. The only uncertainty at this point is whether Bayern can maintain this momentum after the break, especially given that Manuel Neuer, Lucas Hernandez, and Noussair Mazraoui are all injured. Trying to predict who will finish in the other Champions League spots this season is more unpredictable than in seasons past. Dortmund and Leipzig have had a wild ride thus far, with the former's coach switching from Domenico Tedesco to Marco Rose. In his first 10 league contests, the newly appointed Rosenball manager has 7 victories and just 1 defeat. Additionally, they were able to advance to the round of 16 in the Champions League. In this time, they've improved to the top 3 in the league standings, as well as in terms of shots on goal, goals, big chances, and touches in the box of the opposition. The latter statistic typically indicates the strength of a team because the more touches you have in the opponent's penalty area, the better. The more chances you have of producing a scoring opportunity, which is exactly what Rose's team is doing. However, the top scorer in the Bundesliga, Christopher Nkunku, is still recovering from a serious knee injury. Whether Leipzig can continue without him is an open question. Despite having the most losses of the top 8 teams, Leipzig's statistics in the top 3 are most often comparable to Dortmund's. This provides them with a strong foundation to finish the season in the Champions League spots as well. Since Edin Terzic's appointment as permanent head coach in May, while continuing to play possession-based football, he has attempted to implement a more aggressive strategy in BVB's press. While this has a lot of benefits, it has also made them statistically stronger than most. Their problems thus far have been primarily caused by a lack of quick ball circulation and a proper link to their striker. With players like Sebastian Haller and Marco Reus rejoining the squad, this should get better. Eintracht Frankfurt should continue to build on its strengths and place in a European competition if it receives the final qualification spot. They stand head and shoulders above the competition, which is why I've included them in the Champions League category. Appearing in the top 3 for goals, touches in the box of the opponent, and recoveries as well. They have already won the Europa League, thanks to manager Oliver Glasner's aggressive style of play. Mario Götze and Randal Kolo Muani, 2 quality additions, may help them get closer to teams like Bayern Munich and RB Leipzig. SC Freiburg, which is currently ranked 2nd, has advanced to a top 6 contender in recent years. They put together a team and developed a play style that allowed them to control every aspect of the game, enabling them to maintain control over their opponents while pressing, in transition, and in possession. Freiburg should have performed better than expected, which is in part why they are ranked so highly in the table. They not only perform better than anticipated, but also better than the data. They have league average possessions that result in shots, a metric in which Champions League teams typically excel. In terms of chances created, touches inside the box of the opponent, and forward passes, they are mediocre. They perform recoveries even worse than before. They continue to be very good at creating big chances, high pressure, and shots on goal despite this. Another benefit is that they benefit from Christian Streichel's consistent use of strategy. In addition, they are a cohesive group that works incredibly hard. Despite being ranked 5th by me, they have a chance to compete for the final Champions League spot. Unfortunately, despite their strong start to the season, Union Berlin is still struggling. When analyzing the data, it was obvious that their decline just before the international break was coming. We can see that the 5th place team in the Bundesliga table ranks in the bottom half in terms of chances created and shots on goal. Possessions that result in shots and produce big chances. However, they have achieved their success thanks to their strong sense of identity, manager Ursula Fischer's combination of defensive stability, counterattacking at long balls, and quality up front. Based on this, I do think they're Conference League contenders for the mid-table. VfL Wolfsburg was one of the top teams just before the half after a shaky start. Instead, if we use the same criteria as above, we would expect them to place in the top 6. Hertha Berlin, FC Augsburg, VfB Stuttgart, VfL Bochum, and Schalke 04 are situated at the opposite end of the table. Following disappointing season debuts, everyone is working to get better. Due to the hiring of Bruno Labbadia as their new head coach, Stuttgart is challenging to evaluate. And every trend they had in the first half and every way they played could be completely altered. Additionally, Labbadia has a history of saving teams from certain defeat. Given their solid defensive performance, Hertha Berlin has what it takes to avoid the drop, as shown by their statistics for duels and interceptions. In terms of big chances and shots on goal, they perform better than the other aforementioned teams. However, they struggle to advance the ball into the final third and create quality chances generally. This has ruined any meaningful consistency in the outcomes. They will be involved in the relegation battle for a while, but they shouldn't fall below the relegation playoff. The two teams battling it out between automatic relegation and the relegation playoff will be Augsburg and Bochum. The problems for both teams are similar. Both have fewer shots on goal than the top half of the table. Goals and opportunities that result from possessions. As evidenced by their superior ranking in duels, aerial duels, and high pressures, Augsburg are more intense than Bochum. When it comes to possessions that result in shots, Bochum is the superior team. Augsburg should finish ahead of Bochum in the relegation playoff because they have a higher quality team overall. Schalke is now at the bottom of the barrel. Despite marginally better statistics since Thomas Reis was hired as the team's new coach at the end of October. In many categories, including goals, shots on goal, entering the final third, and the list goes on, they continue to rank in the bottom 3. Despite having statistically improved, they still dropped 3 of the 4 games under Reis. He can certainly avoid relegation, but the statistics offer no evidence that he will.